Hello friends and spiritual seekers. So today I'm actually going to be doing a new beginning spell. So this is the last full moon of 2020, but you can use this at any time that you feel like you just need that kind of break from the old and bringing in the new. This spell came about, I was asked to do a custom spell recently, and this channeled through, and I'm like, this spell is just way too great to just give to one person, so I'm going to share it with all of you guys. So this spell actually does have quite a bit in it, and there's some specialty herbs that might be a little bit hard to find. So just keep in mind that you can always substitute these herbs for another that are used for the same purpose. You're not limited to my recipe or limited to what I say you have to put in. If you feel like you need to add different herbs or a different meaning, absolutely, it's your spell, it's your deal. So the new beginning spell. This does not need to be done in like a circle or in a ritual space or anything like that, because it's very tied to breaking the old and bringing in the new. So it's not, you know, you don't have to protect from anything because you're trying to get rid of everything that's not serving you in your current life. So I'm just going to go through some of the herbs that are included. So in total, all of the herbs that are included is black peppercorn, black mustard seed, cloves, onion, resurrection lily, dandelion root, yarrow flower, skullcap, star anise, and lotus seed. Now this spell actually is two spells in one. There's a spell of removing the old, and then there's a spell to bring in the new and the new beginnings, and we're just tying them together. There's also moss going to be in the spell that's going to be divided, so that's a big part of it. And there's two essential oils. There's benzoin oil and cedarwood oil. I am also adding into this spell petrified wood. This is not necessary. This is just kind of an extra I threw in because I had some kind of like laying around in my supplies, and it kind of fitted this spell. Again, no stones are absolutely necessary. I am also personally putting this spell into a kind of like test tube type jar. I just really like this test tube jar, and the way I'm going to actually seal up this spell works for this type of jar. But again, any kind of jar will work as long as you're able to completely fill it up as far as volume. That's the only kind of thing, is you want to be able to add everything that you need to add and make it pretty full at the end. So the first part of this spell is all about getting rid of the old. So we have a lot of herbs that are about like cleansing and removing negativity, and we're just going to start stacking them up into our jar. So the first one that I'm going to be adding is black peppercorns. And the black peppercorns are going to represent endurance and banishing. Next, I'm going to be adding black mustard seed, and I got a spoon because I thought putting on this tray was like, I was being smart by putting it on this tray, and it ended up actually being like a lot harder. And the black mustard seed is going to be used again for banishing and removing negativity. Next thing I'm going to be adding is cloves. Cloves represent banishing and protection. And the last herb for this bottom part is onion. Now the reason I'm adding onion is to represent things that have gone sour. So I mean, it's not necessarily the proper way to use an onion, but when I think of things souring, it definitely reminds me of like vinegar and sour things like that to represent kind of the same thing. I'm not a huge fan of onion flavor, and I can find it quite sour sometimes. So that's why I'm going to use onion for that purpose. Next, I'm going to add a couple drops of benzoin oil. This is a container from my subscription box. I actually gave this out in my December subscription box. So I'm going to add a few drops of that, holding up my jar straight up. I just want it to kind of fall down the center. Yeah, I'm going to add a few more. And the benzoin oil is also going to be used as a kind of banishing / protection. This is what my jar looks like so far. This is where I'm going to add the petrified wood. Or not. This is when I'm going to add the petrified wood, and this is going to represent anything that's kind of gotten stagnant and old. It's petrified, it's not serving me, it's not doing any good or bad, it's just things that we need to get rid of. Now, the next thing that I want to do is I want to seal that old stuff away, and to kind of separate it between the old and the new. And I'm going to do that in a couple ways. So the first way is I'm going to actually add some of this moss, not all of it, And moss in real life is a type of filter. It filters out old stuff, old air. It kind of eats away at all of the decay that's going on with plant life. And I keep getting my finger stuck in it. So I'm actually going to put only half of the moss. That should be good. I need a poker. I'm just going to use a pen to kind of push it down and level it out. So this is going to act as a filter, keeping the old from infiltrating the new. So now that we got our moss kind of packed down and ready to go, I'm just going to put it in here so it doesn't fall over. I'm actually going to warm up a bunch of black wax, and this is how we're going to seal that old down into the bottom. You can also decide to add a small parchment paper and you can write out everything that you want to get rid of. And this is just going to help your intention go into the jar and just help you visualize what you're trying to expel yourself from. I find that writing on parchment paper is a very easy way to add extra intention, or just to really highlight what you want to accomplish in a spell. And so you would add a parchment paper with anything you want to expel from your life, what you want to change, and you would just add this either on top of the herbs before the moss or before you put the wax. Doesn't really matter, whatever works for you. So that's just a little extra thing you can do if you feel so inclined. If you don't have fancy sealing wax, you can either get the beads and just burn it with like a regular spoon over a candle or melt it, or you can just use a black candle and just drip the wax into the jar. It'll work just as fine. Okay, so now I'm going to pour that black wax as carefully as I can to go right down the center. That's okay. I got some on the sides there, but that's okay. I'm just going to rotate the jar just so it kind of hits all the sides of the jar to make a seal right across on top of all those herbs and the moss. And I'm going to let that cool. I'm also going to really clean out my little spoon here because we're going to be using this again. And so I want to remove all of that black wax. Oh. So it's clean for later. Okay, so now that this wax is cooled, I can feel the jar, it's not warm anymore. Now we can start building up a bringing in the new of the top part of this jar. So the first thing we're going to add is the rest of our moss. Because like I said, the moss acts like a filter. We want to just make sure that the new is also not infiltrating the old. The first herb specific to the new beginning part of this spell that I'm going to add is the resurrection lily. The resurrection lily is going to act on resurrecting old passions and resurrecting old ambitions. Because a lot of times the stuff that we want to bring into our life is stuff we've always wanted to, or that we've been thinking about and putting on the back burner, but we've never actually acted upon. So this is going to resurrect those old passions to get things done. The next thing I'm going to add is dandelion root. And the dandelion root is going to keep us grounded. Not just grounded, physically, but also grounding us into what our true purpose is and what's going to bring us happiness. The next thing I'm going to add is yarrow flower. And this is going to add some calming and healing. Next, I'm going to add some skullcap. And this is going to be adding love and harmony. And I'm making a mess, and usually the good spells always do. I'm going to add just a couple pods of star anise, and this is going to offer protection and also additional banishing. The last thing I'm going to add in this top part is lotus seeds. And lotus seeds, although very big, the lotus seeds are going to offer protection, cleansing, and healing. The essential oil I'm going to add to the top part is cedarwood oil, and this is going to add strength. And as far as my essential oils, I'm just kind of intuitively adding what I feel like I need to add. There's no specific drop amount or anything like that. I just go until I feel like it's enough. So now I'm going to seal this top part with a mixture of white and silver wax. So I'm going to put my jar over here again so it doesn't spill, and add my white and silver wax to my pot. So this is what my jar looks like with all of the top herbs added. And the reason I'm doing a mixture of white and silver for this top part, the white is going to be for cleansing and the silver is going to be for spiritual connection. And again, while you're waiting for your wax to warm up, you can be doing a parchment paper. If you did a parchment paper for the negative side, then you should be doing a parchment paper for the positive side, for the new beginnings. And again, on this time, you're going to be writing out what you want to bring into your life, what new things you want to bring in or renew. And again, this is just going to really set those intentions. So just like before, I'm going to be adding the wax on top, trying to put it down the center as much as possible. A little bit easier this time. Oh, and it didn't drip around that seed, which I was a little bit worried that it was going to drip around that top seed, but it didn't. It sealed right on top exactly how I wanted it to. So I'm actually going to hold this upright until the wax cools because there's quite a bit, and then I'll see how it seals after that. And just a note about sealing the top, again, you can use just regular candle wax if that's all you got. You can use white or silver. If you want your new beginnings to be very spiritual driven and spiritual bound, then you can do purple as well. So the wax is pretty cool. I mean cold, sealed. And I'm gonna keep this jar like this. It comes with the plastic cap, but I'm not gonna put the cap on it. One of the purposes of putting the seal on top is to actually seal it. So now that my jar is done, it can feel very overwhelming because you're kind of pulling in energies from both sides. You're thinking about the negative and you're thinking about the positive, what you want to get rid of, what you want to draw in, and it can be very tiring. So when you make this spell, the first thing you're going to do when you're done is put it away. You're actually going to put it away somewhere and not think about it for at least a few days. When you kind of think about it, like, oh yeah, I've got that jar over there, I should probably do something with it, then you're probably ready to actually act upon it. The first thing you want to do is hold this while meditating, and an easy way is both palms down, your receiving and your letting go hand, because that's exactly what you're doing. You're letting things go and you're bringing things in. So you're going to meditate with both of your hands, and what you're going to be trying to meditate on is exactly that. What are the actions you need to take in your conscious life to let those things go and to bring those in? And you're going to have to do it. Journaling can also be an easy way to not only get your thoughts organized, but to kind of keep reminding yourself on what actions you need to take. This jar can also be used as a reminder. So place this somewhere where you can kind of remind yourself of what you're trying to accomplish, and just to kind of keep yourself in the path. So anyway, this is my getting rid of new beginnings jar for the end of 2020, but obviously you can use this at any time that you feel necessary. Thank you for joining me. Subscribe so you can get all of my new videos, my witchy stuff and my tarot readings, you know, all the things I do, because I do not follow the rules and I don't only put videos out on one topic. But you know, if you like my shtick, then stick around. Also, you can follow my social medias. If you would like any personal questions answered, either tarot or any kind of witchy questions or mentoring, you can go down to my Wizio account and you can actually request for a personalized one-on-one mentoring video. Yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching my video today, and I'll see you on the next one.